Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels, and thank you folks for being patient for me while I prepped. No makeup today, just not for any particular reason, just kind of feeling lazy, to be at all honest. But anyways, just a few quick things real quick, and we'll go ahead and go through this video. For starters, just to let you know, as always, folks, you will be able to find the link to the document we've been going through page by page here in the description box. So please, if you want to follow along, just click on the link. Also, folks, we also are going to be including the change.org the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. If you haven't signed it already, please do. For those who are very new to my channel and you want to figure out what the hell I'm even on about, please, I am putting the link for the first video to this called Stop the Shocks Campaign Reignites. It's a very tough video to watch, but to understand why I've been going into all this again recently when there was supposed to be a ban, please watch that video all the way through. And as always, folks, if I accidentally absolutely mangle some scientific terms or stumble over any of my words, I do apologize in advance. Also, guys, some of the things that we talk about with the JRC videos do include vivid descriptions of torture of people with disabilities. So if you have young children in the room, please go ahead and put on some headphones. Okay, so without further ado, we are going back today to the FDA Executive Summary for April the 24th, 2014. We left off at 5.3.9. Reports from parents of patients administered ESDs. Remember, that's the acronym for electric skin shock devices for aversive conditioning. We were going to go over this yesterday, but these are the parents that actually support the Judge Rotenberg Center. And I am more than well aware of the fact that going through this is going to get me all colors of pissed off and ranty. And I didn't want to make a super long video yesterday, so we're going to go ahead and cover as much of it as we can today, so I don't have to try and deal with it when I'm exhausted tomorrow after work. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. On January 18th, 2013, attorneys for the Judge Rotenberg Center Parents Association, JRCPA, or the association, sent a letter to the CDRH Office of Compliance to describe the impact, from a parent's point of view, of eliminating access to the GED 3A or GED 4 from specific patients. Members of the JRCPA share information about the school, much of which is acquired from site visits and their review of JRC programs, and sit on the JRC Human Rights Committee. Well, if that's not an oxymoron in terms, I don't know what is. Which evaluates the programs of clients who have been prescribed treatment with GED 3A and GED 4 devices. Letters from 3 parents that express the need for their children to continue receiving GED 3A or GED 4 treatment were included as attachments. These letters describe the severe physical harm their children inflicted on themselves and countless placements and treatments, including cocktails of dangerous medications. They tried to prevent such injury with no success. They further explained how the JRC's treatment program, including the GED 3A or GED 4 treatment, was able to stop their children from engaging in dangerous behaviors, allowing them to be free from physical and emotional harm, and for the first time in their lives to learn and be happy. The letter states that the premature termination of the use of the GED device will cause great, in some cases, permanent harm. Okay, these are the parents that we call the true believers, folks. They've drank the Kool-Aid. They are seeing it from an outside perspective. They're talking about people who visit their children every so often They have no idea what's going on behind closed doors, and somehow has got this strange dichotomy in their head that by causing them physical pain and torture now will somehow make their child happier, will somehow make their child less willing to self-harm or be aggressive. I don't know where these idiots think that this is actually logical, but, go off, I guess. These are the kind of parents, folks, I was ranting about yesterday, where it is all about them, how they feel, what they've gone through, not taking into any consideration the torture that their children are experiencing every single day at this center. People, the answer to self-injurious behavior and aggression is not to punish and abuse these kids. That's not an answer. Remember when I've compared it to the parents who shake the baby because they want the child to stop crying? Yeah, it is that bad. Okay? Okay. That's actually lighter than my usual rant. I'm sure it will get worse as we go through this. Here, let me adjust this. Okay, let's go forward here. The JCPRA's attorneys presented case summaries in the letter for the 3 patients treated with the GED 3A and 4 patients treated with the GED 4. The following was reported for 3 patients receiving the GED 3A. This patient is suffering from autism and profound intellectual disability. So, ableist right out the gate. You have to forgive me if I don't trust a damn word you say. Before and after coming to JRC, he engaged in behavior multiple times per day, such as banging his ears, slapping his face, hitting his head against hard objects, touching other clients' genitals, and attacking staff. He was treated at highly reputable facilities prior to JRC and received a wide variety of positive interventions and medications, and was frequently physically restrained. JRC continued to try a range of positive interventions for 4 months without success. When the GED 3A was added to his program, his dangerous and disruptive behaviors fell from more than 4,000 per month to less than 200 per month. He no longer needed to be restrained dozens of times per month. He was able to make academic progress, his relationship with family improved, and he was able to go on trips in the community. He has been fated to wearing the GED 3A devices. Oh my God, multiple devices? And has had a range of behaviors removed from treatment. But so far, his self-injurious behaviors have reemerged whenever the remaining devices were temporarily removed. There you go. Okay. If these devices are so wonderful, why do they have to continue to wear the devices? The concept behind treatment is for a patient to get better, for them to be able to manage what it is they are being treated for. If the device is not going to assist in permanently, or at least semi-permanently, removing the behaviors, then why the hell is he wearing it in the first place? It means that it's torture for torture's sake. You know what I'm saying? If these behaviors all reemerge as soon as he's taken off the device, that means it's not solving anything. The root of the problem remains untreated and not even considered. Logically, you would think in a treatment program, you want to target why are behaviors happening? What is causing the behaviors? For people like the JRC, they're just going to simply say, Well, it's the disability. So that's not how it works. There's always a triggering factor with behaviors. They just don't randomly happen out of nowhere because he, she, them, they happen to have a disability. That's not how any of this works. You will never fix a problem if you don't figure out what the initial triggering point was that set off the chain of events in the first place. In a Foamy video, Foamy the Squirrel from Ill Will Press said, you're essentially trying to put a band-aid over a wound that needs stitches. You're treating the symptoms, not the cause. When you treat the symptoms, not the cause, you're not doing anybody any bit of good, especially when you are treating symptoms with such a horrific device. But anyways, moving on. This patient suffers from intellectual disability, opposition defiant disorder, and a severe behavior disorder. During the first 7 years of his life, his behaviors included attacking peers, stabbing a child at school with a pencil, sexually touching others in the home, and hitting or kicking teachers. He was placed in at least 4 treatment facilities, hospitalized on at least 2 occasions, and prescribed psychotropic drugs, including lithium and thorazine. He received speech and language therapists, structured play therapy, social skills training, and counseling, base token economies, and structured schedules, and physical chemical restraint, all without success. With more sophisticated positive interventions at JRC, his behavior slowly improved, but still included hundreds of aggressive, destructive, and self-harmful incidents per week. After approximately a year, the GED 3A was added to his program, and his violent, destructive, and self-harmful behaviors reduced to less than 10 per month. The GED 3A was activated only 32 times in the first 5 years he wore it. The change in his behavior allowed him to receive an education, go on home visits and field trips, and end the need for routine physical restraints. He now wears fewer devices and has fewer behaviors subject to consequences. But every time the device has been entirely removed, his aggressive behaviors have swiftly returned. I say it again because you are treating the symptoms with horrific abuse and torture, I might add, instead of taking care of the root problem. That's the thing. Any logical person with a brain will tell you if you do not deal with the root problem, treating the symptoms is not going to do shit. Because as soon as you remove those GEDs, because you're not treating the problem, you're only making it worse and inflicting psychological trauma as well as physical trauma on top of those behaviors. You better guess those behaviors are coming back and are going to come back even worse than they were before. Let's see if this continues, because I see the problem what these parents continue to not face and understand. This patient suffers from severe intellectual disability and pervasive developmental disorder, PDD. Before and after joining JRC, his behaviors included hitting, biting others, hitting, biting, headbanging, and picking his skin until it bled, and then picking at scabs so they could not heal. When he joined the JRC, he was taken 7 psychotropic medications, weighed over 300 pounds as a side effect of his medications, and had to be physically restrained hundreds of times per month. Despite the JRC's program of positive interventions, he continued to engage in thousands of dangerous and disruptive behaviors per month. When the GED 3A device was added to his program, these behaviors reduced to less than 80 per month. As a result, he was able to make progress in his education and return to a healthy weight, no longer needed to be physically restrained, no longer picked at scabs enough to prevent healing, and was able to go on community outings and overnight home visits. In his early 20s, he was transferred to another institution which the GED treatment was not available. He quickly regressed and had to be routinely restrained, resumed medication, and became a threat to himself and others. He has since returned to the JRC and resumed treatment with the GED 3A, and his behavior has gradually returned to normal. Oh my God, that's awful. So basically, what happened, folks, was he was able to get away from a short time. And then basically, they're saying his behaviors got worse. Gee, you think? He's been tortured by this horrific place. You finally removed the devices. I'd be acting out too. Anybody would. And they're like, oh, well, he's acting out now. Time to take him back and do it to him again. Instead of, I don't know, dealing with the underlying problem. But let's not talk logic here. Jesus Christ, kill me. Okay, moving on. The following was reported for the 4 patients receiving the GED-4. This patient suffers from PMR, Down syndrome, and a severe behavior disorder causing her to engage in severe self-injurious behavior. Prior to the JRC, her attacks on her own eyes, chin, and jaw caused cataracts, blindness in her left eye, calloused areas making her eyes appear swollen shut, and many scars on her face. Her previous caretakers, including those at a renowned clinic, tried medications such as Haldol, restrictive environments, in-home behavior services, and protective helmets, all without success. At JRC, prior to adding the GED to her treatment plan, she engaged in over 5,000 self-injurious behaviors per month. With a GED 3A, the need for physical restraint fell from hundreds or thousands per month to 0, but she still engaged in approximately 100 self-injurious harmful behaviors per month. Then what is the point? My God. Blah. And the GED is no longer used to control her aggressive and destructive behavior. However, when the GED-4 was removed entirely for 4 days in June 2012, her self-injury jumped back to the 13 incidents per day. Gee, I wonder why. Because you're not treating the problem. Oh my God. How do you all have medical degrees? Underlying behaviors, folks. Underlying issues. There's always something at the heart of it. And we're so busy treating the symptoms, we're missing the forest for the goddamn trees. And that's just in general medical practice. Then you got these. Just imagine the stream of explicitives I want to start saying right there. These bastards want to treat the symptoms by torturing these people. And we are not just talking electric skin shocks, what's got everybody all up in arms. We're also talking food deprivation, sleep deprivation. We're talking pinches, slaps, hits, have all had their history as so-called treatment with the Judge Rotenberg Center. If you want to take a look, I did do a history covering them all the way back from 1976. So, moving forward, this subject suffers from SMR, which, let's call that severe intellectual disability. God, these people live in the Stone Age. And, and has been diagnosed with autistic disorder and PDD. At his previous placement, his self-injurious behaviors included body hits to the environment, head hits to the wall and floor, Been there, done all of it. Body punches, done that too. Face and head hits, yep. Self bites, never. Well, no, I can't say I actually have never done it. Just never to the point that it's ever broke skin. And hand contortions, causing bruises, scratches, swelling of joints, cuts to the forehead, and fractured bones. Have never gone exactly that far. His violent behavior sent multiple staff to the emergency room with back and neck injuries and concussions. His positive only treatments, designed by the intentionally recognized behavior experts, included functional assessments, contingent awards, teaching functional communication responses, restraint as positive reinforcement, periods of no or high demands, and full time staffing. Psychotropic medications, including Risperdal, Tripidol, and Seroquel were also tried, but could not treat him safely or effectively. At JRC, he received a wide variety of behavioral interventions over 11 months, but continued to engage in approximately 500 aggressive and health dangerous behaviors per week. When the GED 4 was introduced to his program, that number dropped to less than 4 per week. His time spent in 4-point restraints went from approximately 10 hours per week. Oh my god, that's longer than Andre. To 0. He no longer has to wear a protective helmet. He began making regular educational progress. He was no longer covered in bruises and cuts, and his mother stated that he was like a new person. It is hoped that the GED 4 can eventually be removed entirely, but so far his violent behavior has reemerged whenever it has been removed. It's because you're treating the symptoms, not the problem. Also, the idea that we are going to fix the symptoms of self injury and abuse and aggression to others by inflicting more pain and suffering on an individual makes no coherent logical sense whatsoever. And again, I wonder how the do these people have medical degrees? This patient received a wide variety of diagnoses for her severe aggressive behavior. Her aggression, which she often grabbed others by the hair and kick, scratch, and bite them, caused her to be hospitalized 5 times in the 3 years before she came to the JRC. She was prescribed 25 different medications at various times, including Thorazine, Hadol, and lithium. Her therapies at various specialized day and residential schools included non-contingent reinforcements, differential reinforcement, attention extinction, response blocking, one staffing ORO schedules, allowing escape, reinforcer choice, and level systems. After she came to the JRC, the school continued to try its own positive intervention for 30 weeks without success. When the GED 3A was added to her program, her dangerous behaviors fell from thousands to hundreds per month. After the GED 4 was added, these behaviors fell to less than 10 per month and now often reach 0. She has been able to receive knee surgery to correct injuries from previous mechanical restraint. Oh my god, you mean that they caused? Shocking. To make educational progress for the first time and go on home visits. Her caretakers are very gradually fading the GED 4 and other treatments. Jesus. This patient suffers from PDD and profound intellectual disability. His self-injurious behaviors include vomiting and rumination to the point of dangerous weight loss, biting through his tongue and cheeks, and grinding his skin against objects to the point of exposing bone. Given the risk of malnutrition and infection, his behaviors pose a serious threat to his life. Because of the profound and life-threatening nature of his illness, he was placed directly on the GED 4 as soon as the aversives were added to his program. The effect has been to reduce his aggressive behaviors from hundreds or thousands per month to about 2 per month, and his unhealth dangerous behaviors to about 40 per month. He was able to see his family more frequently, feed and dress himself, and has shown more positive effect. When the GED 4 has been occasionally removed, his behaviors immediately returned. If it is withdrawn, he will need to be heavily medicated and restrained to prevent him from destroying his own skin, and is ruminating and vomiting, which cannot be effectively controlled by restraint or medication, will again become life-threatening. Or you can, I don't know, do your due goddamn diligence and find out the underlying issues behind the behaviors instead of being so willing to strap him to the board and freaking shock him to death. Just a damn thought. In summary, the letters and case reports show that there is evidence that the GED-3A or GED-4 device prevents the need for routine physical and mechanical restraint or heavy sedation, protects patients from regular self-inflicted, in some cases life-threatening injury, and that it allows them to spend time with their peers in the community and with family. On the risk side, there was no report that the GED-3A or GED-4 caused physical or emotional harm. You see the difference between what the independent FDA investigators found and what these parents are reporting to you? Yeah. Not single ounce of common sense amongst a whole lot of them, as they would say. As Georgie Carlin used to say, it's all bullshit, folks, and it's bad for you. When your only answer to these symptoms of these disabilities is to engage in punishment, in adverse conditioning, in food deprivation, in sleep deprivation, in electric skin shocks that leave burns, causes people to lose the ability to feel feeling sensations in certain parts of their body. That's not an answer. It's not an answer. And the fact that all these behaviors return when you remove the device only proves to me that the devices don't work. The idea is to not have to use the devices, according to the JRC, right? Well, then, if the behaviors return like that, then why continue to use those devices and not trying to figure something else out? If they're supposedly so good at heart, and I love these kids so much. My point is, you can't keep trying to treat symptoms. That's what these behaviors are. Behavior is communication. You are treating the behavior and not what's causing the behavior. You're not even trying to figure out what's causing the behavior. So guess what? When you remove that aversive therapy, the things that are torturing and tormenting your child, guess what's going to happen? The problem that caused all those behaviors before are still goddamn there. And of course it's going to start again. Because you didn't fix the problem. Okay? You want to know why my behaviors got less as I got older? Because I became cognitive enough to know what would send me into those types of behaviors. And the fact of the matter is, I had a lot of self-loathing as a child of myself. That's what caused the self-injurious behavior. So I started working on that. I had mental health issues that needed to be addressed. Once I started working on those mental health issues, what do you know? Suddenly, the self-injurious behaviors started to go away because I started to feel better about myself, more accepting of who I am as a person. Just saying, because the problem that was triggering all that behavior was being worked on, I was able to get better without somebody strapping a device to me and torturing me to death with it. Okay? Just saying. Alright, folks, I could say a lot more, But I'd rather not get a strike on my channel. I know that some people have been YouTube channel strike happy. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Now, folks, as always, we don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. Do appreciate your time this afternoon. And as always, folks, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.